All right. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. You guys can see my screen, okay?
Yes, I can see
Okay.
it.
Good deal. Good deal. So when people ask all the time, like where to get this contract, trec.texas.gov. Most of the states, like I want you guys to like take this information because this is like your job and take this and run with it because it's the same thing in every state. It's universal. So us doing this for Texas is so close to being able to do it for every other state. Some of the wording will be different and there'll be like small intricacies, but we learn as we go, to be completely honest. Some of these things, like North Carolina can come out with a new law, bylaw, some BS next week, right? And that would just be a part of the department for us to learn. Can't know everything. And even when you do know everything, they come out with new shit. You got new stuff you got to learn. So this one's simple. 1 to 4 contract. This is a general real estate contract that we're going to use. We're actually just going to open it up and go through it, right? Um, so the this one is one of the simpler contracts. I think they even this used to be even more pages, and so they've dumbed this thing down even a little bit. It's a little bit prettier too, because it used to look like a dang Declaration of Independence. So this very simple stuff to the parties in the contract are the seller and the buyer. That's always going to be the person who is selling the property to us. This is going to be us. It's very simple. The land lot, the actual property itself, like I'm not gonna spend too much time going over this, just like main things and like rules for filling this out so that we don't look ridiculous when we send this, right? So like very property, like making sure that we have all this information, of course. Exclusions, usually there is nothing to put in section D. Let me see if getting my pencil here will make a difference. Playing the markup game. Can I? Well, I think I do because I have the downloaded that man. But let's see. Oh, I have to add it to files and everything to do that. 1 second here. Oh, no, it's notes, not files. There we go. TREC. We just did it. It's so far away. There we go. All right. Now we can play the markup game. Can doodle around. Okay, so most of the time we have nothing in section D, like as far as exclusions go. Sales price, we're all almost obviously going to fill that out with what we have all 90% of the time. Now here's a good section for us to be in. Third party financing addendum, loan assumption. We are hardly ever doing loan assumptions. Seller financing addendum. And if we are doing something that is subject to, this is the box that you would fix, right? And then all the documents that go along with the subject to would be addendums, would be other documents that we would sign, right? If we're doing a seller finance deal, you would check out this box and then we would have our own additional documents to go along with that. But the TREC is like our cover letter for the rest of the contract, right? So this gets done, and we'll fill out all the other stuff. So sales price, all this stuff same. So like if we are to do any of this, then we would fill out these 2 sections. But if not, then we're good. All right. Again, only these 2 boxes if we're going seller finance, anything creative, hybrids, whatever it is, we would use these 2 boxes. Otherwise, we're going cash. We're just using this portion, this box right here, and moving forward. Residential leases, I'm gonna say like we hardly ever deal with this section, hardly ever deal with this section. If we're doing with land that has like we're hardly ever gonna deal with this section either. But if you have land that has goddamn mining land on mining ore on it that's being used by another company, yada, you would use this. But again, we hardly ever are in this section. Um, and then yeah, if something like that happens, the seller has a certain amount of time that they fill this out in. Now, here's another section for us. I'm usually doing this, but if we are to send a signed TREC to the title, to seller, to the agent, whomever, and I've sent it to you, please ensure that I've done my due diligence in making sure that this the initials are at the bottom of each page. Another thing is as we get to the top of each page, the address is right here, right? So property address on every page that we end up doing. Now, another section that's clearly important, the earnest money, right? Must deliver to buyer, must deliver to this is title company, escrow agent at said title company, right? So the person at said title company, the amount, here we are. And then here's an option fee if we end up paying one. So in the option period, when you see usually in the contracts that we end up doing, there is an option period somewhere. Some sometimes we end up paying for that, sometimes we don't. But all of that information is it ends up being resting here. So buyers shall deliver any additional earnest money of X amount of dollars if X amount of days. We're not doing anything additional, so usually that section is out. Termination. Given a termination within, I'm going to generally say put 3 days here. But you could also just put a day, like one day. But this is a section that isn't as genuinely important, to be completely honest. Title policy. So this is also general title policy. Seller shall furnish buyer with is usually our expense title policy because we're covering title. And then Woolman read
I'm sorry,
shortages.
does that section go along with like closing costs too? Is that what that is? Closing costs
This
and
one, yes, yes,
okay,
yes. So like if we already do a survey, if we need, like when we say closing costs and everything
okay,
included, this is us checking that box off that yeah, we're the ones doing it. We're going to take care of all things. And then if there's anything else to be talked about, we
gotcha.
would go over it, right? Willamette shortages in area. Would also be at the sorry, this would be at the yes, at our expense if anything like this to happen. All right. Same thing here. Also make sure just the initials get done. Same thing. Property address at the top of each page. Just making sure that happens. Um, Survey, if we are to do a survey, usually this only happens on land. So I will be very clear if we are like needing a survey within any amount of time. Usually it's within our option period, so it's not like this random amount of days, but usually the survey will have to happen within the actual option period on our deal or within our inspection period on our deal. Next to that is who's going to take care of it and whose expense is going to be the survey. Most of the time it's us, unless it's like a very convoluted deal, in which case the seller is like partnering with us on delivering the survey. Usually not. Usually it's us. Um, Within X amount of days of signing the contract, again, inspection period stuff. Within X amount of days, seller shall furnish a new survey to the buyer. Again, all our stuff, but that's these are if we get here. Right now, general stuff, no, you don't necessarily have to worry about this. Worry about more about section one, who's going to actually take care of the survey, and that's going to be us. Same things, property address at the top, make sure our initials at the bottom, continue. Next page, same thing. And property condition.
I'm sorry
But
to interrupt you again.
no, you're
That
good.
specific inspection period is only for surveys. Is there going to be another inspection period on here? Because I know that there usually is.
This one is our general inspection period. So yes,
Okay,
so see, essentially what's happening is title policy and survey is covering one section. So
okay,
our inspection period is covered within this section, and our survey is covered within that inspection period. Got it?
okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Cool.
All good.
Nice.
And like, don't apologize for stopping me. If you need to stop me and ask me anything, please, this would be a beautiful time to ask, opposed to when we have a live contract. Ask brother. All right. So what am I doing? Okay. So this is all general stuff. Like you don't have to do anything here. This is all TREC stuff. Don't worry about this. Maybe if we have an addendum or an amendment for one thing or another, it would go here. But I'm not gonna worry about that for now. So, property condition. Buyer has received seller's disclosure notice. This is important, right? Sometimes we haven't. Sometimes I've had times where this line right here has gotten me out of a contract because I never received a seller's disclosure. It was a deal I wasn't going to move forward on. So,
What
um,
would that be? I'm not familiar. Is that just like maybe terms that a seller would have?
so when you have an agent, and I think they have you fill one out if you're even if you don't have an agent, but 100% of the time when you have an agent, you there is a seller's disclosure, and maybe title handles this. I'm not even 100% sure, but because most of the deals I've done have been with agents, there is a seller's disclosure that is this very ugly document that just checks off dates and things that have happened to the property. HVAC is been fixed.
Oh,
There aren't termites, so there are termites. The deck needs to be fixed. And then you know, I've had sellers disclosure say everything from like there's a corner in the back room of the house where my cat refused to use the litter box, and so they peed in the corner.
yeah,
And so like that, like very specific and weird thing, especially when you've seen one person live in a house forever, their seller's disclosure usually is like very intricate and things that I would never think of. But
yeah.
this is just something that we are to receive to say, hey, the seller has signed off on everything to do with the property, and you've also seen it. So it's on us to say we have or have not seen and to request the seller's disclosure, right?
Okay. So for example, like say they told us like just only the door was messed up in a window and we get there and we see that like there's more damage, that can help you get back out if you'd like to. Okay.
Precisely, precisely. Like
Okay.
if your seller's disclosure is inaccurate, because it's also like hey, this is an accurate disclosure of everything to do with the property.
Okay.
So we would go back to this document and say, hey, after review, you didn't say that there was a fucking major foundation issue. Excuse my French, but
Yeah.
this is the document that would also this is the clause that would kind of help us out in that event.
Okay. Yeah, this
So
is way different of a contract than some of the ones I've seen before. It just has a lot more to it.
yeah, and don't think too much into it about how because
Yeah.
there's not too much in the contract, but there is like this is a state contract, so yeah, there is it does go through everything, right?
Okay.
Um, so I'm gonna go grid.
No,
So just
this is great for learning. This is great.
thank you guys for even taking the time. This
Yeah, for
is
sure.
awesome. So buyer is not, this is like, we haven't received the seller's disclosure, and so we have X amount of days. Because sometimes again, we go under contract and we've already signed this contract. Well, they've already accepted the contract and we haven't received the seller's disclosure. And then TRC would go to title. And so title would also know, hey, we don't have one, right? And then we could also check and say, hey, the seller is not required to provide a disclosure, and then we can sign off on this. But we want a disclosure. We want a disclosure 90% of the time. So unless I say, hey, no contingencies, doesn't matter, forget it, then even sometimes they'll send the disclosure just because. But I would rather see one. Um,
The disclosure and the house inspection probably go hand in hand, though, right?
truly, truly. Like during my inspection period, I would expect to see a disclosure. Right. So like we go under contract and I haven't received one because I don't expect to see one usually before we sign. But a lot of times you would receive one because like let's say it's the first day that a property has been listed, we go under contract, we probably won't have one. A contract is like a property has been offered on 15, 20 times and they have possibly gone under contract. Guarantee you they've gotten a seller disclosure done at one point in time. So we would receive a pre-done seller disclosure.
Okay.
True. So usually there's one floating around somewhere, given the course of how long the property's been listed. And if
Now, do
not,
you want us to make sure that we press for that? Like we make sure to get that or bring it up?
so so you guys are like my like knights at the end of the day, and in like coolest way. If one of the guys, the acquisition guys, has gotten everything, so like we're in, the contract back office for TCs. We're looking at all the data that we have, and we have not received a seller disclosure, and it's a flip that we're doing. I would love it if you like let me know, and also let the acquisitions person know, even if you haven't talked to me, and say, hey, I have everything, but I do not have a disclosure. Are you sure? Like, could you get that for me? And like, also, are you sure on everything that we have? Because it's usual that if we're especially doing a flip, like a turnkey property is kind of like whatever, but a flip is like, yeah, no, we
Yeah.
need a disclosure.
Okay.
And again, on that, if it's not within our operating system, like that big document, or within those 4 or 5 documents pages that are you guys, I will make sure to add that to the checklist that we need a seller's disclosure, especially on flips, like mandatory on flips.
Okay.
Good deal. Um, so on to page 5. Same deal. Make sure our property address is there. Buyer accepts property as is. That's us. If we're doing a flip, you must check this box. You must check this box, or they will look at us silly because it's necessary. Um, Buyer accepts property as is, provided seller's expense shall complete the following. So, just the box to talk about, because you're also some of this stuff we will talk about because we will handle other TREC contracts, right? And as we talk about, handling and how we get other contracts and how we get other people to, as clients, these are things, little meticulous things that we should know. So, if in the event someone wants to take on a property, but they want them to fix the roof, they want them to pull the flooring up. They want them to paint the outside of the house. They want the house pressure washed. Any of that nonsense would go in section 2. Buyer accepts property as is, provided the seller does what? Whatever BS, right? We usually accept our properties, no contingency, like condition as is. So for us, this is your number one. You check that box, we keep it moving. We're good. If you're writing a contract for someone else, you would see which one it is. Are they accepting it as is, or do we need you to tell us what you want done to the property in order for them to move forward? Right. Um, gonna move past this. This isn't something that you need to fill out, so you can line through this. Um, Water disclosure. Buyer has received water disclosure. This is like, for us, a lot of times this is whether or not we have access to water. If we're not doing land, a lot of times this section doesn't matter. Like, it literally says disclosure about groundwater and surface water rights. Um, a property that's coastal, yes, something to talk about. And do we have rights to this? Can I have is this public? Is this mine? Is this theirs? Is this the neighbors? Something to talk about. In the event that we're not doing that, doesn't matter much. And then in the event that we're doing a flip that's in the inner city, all this stuff doesn't matter. You're gonna check this box off. We're gonna keep it moving. Same thing about this. Doesn't matter much. All right. You're gonna do this in general, make sure we get this stuff done. And then if we receive a contract back, you need to make sure the seller has done everything on their end. All of these, right? When it's our job to make sure a contract is finished and secured and everything is done properly, it would be on us to make sure that every box is checked, and then to ensure that title also has verified that same information. Right. Because the contract will be invalid even if it, looks like this and the seller has not done their side on the other side. Right. So closing, we're
Wait,
done.
I just want to clarify. You have to do a double signature on those.
It's the initial side. So I have always like,
Double initial.
yeah, like
Okay.
DocuSign is going to give you, like, it's going to go across the line. So you could one initial, but it's essentially, it should cover the line,
Okay.
right? Um, so closing. Now we're finished. Now we're here, right? Um, the closing on or before. This is the real date. So August, whatever, 2026. Easy stuff. Literally, I just covered all the closing, the date, right? According possession, seller shall receive buyer's possession of the property. Okay. Easy. We check this box off. We keep it moving. Special provisions. The section. If we have something that is added additional seller needs, and I'll give you an example. On the deal that we're doing, there's a duplex that we're doing in Texas where the seller needs a 30, 60, maybe even 45-day lease back. That terminology is going to go here in special provisions. And then I'm going to have an addendum, which is another document that's going to go along with, with this TREC contract that explains the terms of that lease back. Right. But the addition, the not within all of these parts of the TREC will be within this special provisions part. And sometimes any just random additional information will be carried out in the special provision section. Right. Settlement and other expenses, sometimes there are little things that will happen, like before I've taken on putting a dumpster on a property so the seller could get rid of stuff that they weren't keeping. Excuse me. I didn't take it out at any cost, but I documented the fact that that cost was taken care of by me. All right. And then little things, making sure we're here, making sure this is done. Seller will pay X amount of dollars if the sale price has been applied. I'm just gonna make sure where we're at. Brokerage compensation. This is a seller. This is a seller. So I just want to make sure shall change the parties. Great compensation. Yeah, that's the seller's in. We don't have to worry about this. Document here. We're done again here, and we're practically finished. We're actually finished. All right. This is gonna be us on the information that you have for this is my number, and you would put we're gonna get a brainy general email that we can put here. I'm so glad that we made it to the section right here. That email that I sent you, please make sure that you can log into that like today or ASAP.
The Titan,
Yeah. And if you need me to
the
like,
password needs to be reset. I guess the one that you sent me wasn't working,
okay,
but
I
I'll
can
remember that.
yeah, I will do that. You both need access to the general email that everyone in this company will use, and just tag you guys on things, and then you both will have your own brainy email. Now, we'll talk about actual like things that we're gonna do with those emails in a second here. So buyer's agent, we never have one. Sometimes, but we never have one. This is a company address. I will share this, but you guys should know that Main Street address because it's our only Texas address. Here we are. Agreement. So here are like other things, addendum of sale over the property, other things that would happen with the property, right? Other documents that would go along with this. This is a section that was added recently, and it's partially because of exactly what I talked about. We sometimes will have 10 documents that will go along on top of the TREC after having one. So short sale addendum, 1031 exchange, that's another document. 1031 is, when they sell the property, you got X amount of time before you need to buy another one. That's there. But any additional documents you can check off here that is going to be a part of the actual it's going to be a part of the contract and then part of the file because all of these are agreements and contracts and yada yada, right? And then here's the section. This is where my addendum regarding fixture leases, seller's temporary residential lease. This is where the lease back term would be, right? Additional tests, if we got to run water tests, if we got to run extra nonsense, that would be there. And then this is disclosures for coastal stuff, environmental studies, all that jazz. And this is brand new. Again, this is like a when I say brand new, this TREC contract, they just released this like maybe less than 30 days ago. Let's say that much.
So
Before
is there
what?
ever going to be a time where there's going to be an addendum that we add that is not listed on here? And if so, is there a space that you write that in?
Yeah, I think they may have sellers failure to provide application. I think right now all of this is falling under what addendums we most likely would have, right? Like I don't think there's anything because it's covering like there is another section. Yeah. So here it says seller's failure to provide applicable state statutory disclosures and notices may provide buyers with remedy or rights to terminate this contract. So in what based on how contracts are to be assumed and interpreted, in the event that we have an addendum that is not listed in any of these sections, we would use this other section. And in the terms of that addendum, we would most likely put failure to provide, this addendum by this date would result in us being able to terminate this contract. And then
Okay.
that this would validate us to terminate the contract, that addendum and this section.
Okay.
Copy. Consult an attorney before signing. We do have one, but it's not necessary. And if the seller has one, they would put that there. We would close here, and this is the closing attorney. So we're done. We're actually finished. We would make sure, um, yeah, this is the closing attorney. We're here and here, and now our contract is complete. Our TREC contract is complete. Now, 12 pages, right? That can take 8 minutes, but also could take hours. Right? Just being realistic. Like I've had some of these that take me no time. And then I've also had it to where I've needed to like recheck and go check and make sure I've got all the proper information. A cash contract should be very, very straightforward and very simple, to be honest. You won't have to go through all of these sections and you'll notice very quickly. Like if I'm doing a cash transaction, very, very simply, all of our information, buyer and seller, all of the property information, and we're gone. Exclusions, not necessary. Sales price, we're cash. So we're literally not filling out the other sections. This stuff won't matter. Initials, done. Earnest money, biggest thing in the cash transactions. Title policy, we're covering it. We're covering it. Moving on. Survey, don't need one because it's a cash flip. Moving on. See what I'm saying? Um, seller's disclosure. We need that. So we're gonna check off the first box. Gonna move on. Like this is a cash deal. We're already on page 5, going on 6. Um, Buyer accepts property as is. So we check this box, we keep moving. Right. Seller not required to provide us any water nonsense. We're on page 6, so we're on the page 7. A cash transaction will not take you very long at all. But on these other ones where you may have a seller financing addendum, you may have you may have subject to addendums. I mean, a subject to deal is like 5 documents on top of the one that is our sales document, our regular TREC document, right? So I will have a resource that this download is available, but this is, you know, on Texas website, trec.texas.gov. I
Okay.
typed in what I type in to get this TREC Texas real estate, and the actual .gov website is the one that has the contracts. And yeah, see, look at how beautiful that is. Addendum for property subject to. And this isn't like it's a subject to that we're doing. It's just that all of this stuff is here. Third party financing addendum, seller financing addendum, loan assumption, everything when people ask that and say that they need contracts, is just a very funny thing because it's again all of the stuff that you would need is actually here. But I digress. So now let's talk how we. First of all, do you guys have any questions? Is there anything I can answer?
I'm good right now.
Yeah, I'm good
Okay,
too.
awesome, awesome. So how the main things that we can do to bring money into the department right now is are like big conversation, right? First things first is the title companies, right? Every title company has people that they are doing deals with, right? So calling local, smaller, larger title companies and asking the very simple question of, hey, I am Key Kathy representing Rainy Capital. We are a company that buys, sells, handles a lot of real estate transactions, and we're looking to, let's say other buyers and people that are looking to acquire more real estate. And so we're wondering if you have room to, share any, open files with us, or if you guys could use any contract support with the volume that you guys have. And that's a long-winded sentence, but it is a short way to say, hey, could we provide you guys any additional organizational services, any help in that section, right? Um, that is something that you can talk to every title company and closing attorney about. Now, next to that is real estate agents, right? Agents in the same way that our acquisition agents reach out to agents could use a TC. Every time that we handle a transaction and someone doesn't have a TC, usually they say, hey, can you send the contract over to me? Right. So there are going to be times where like I could send you technically a lead list today that had title companies and real estate agents in the same way. And the way that I would find those real estate agents is I would look for the top performing real estate agents and try and go and speak with them. And the way that this would work is you guys would get a retainer from this agent, and then as their deals come in, we would just handle them. Right. These are two ways that we again do not have to wait internally on a contract that we sign for us to go out and get a sale in order for a contract to come in. You could, literally put the groundwork in, and these real connections that you develop will only get you paid more. Right. Um, those are going to be the two biggest. And I mean, next to that is wholesalers. Every time that you see someone in the creative finance world, 90% of them don't have a contract. 90% of them do not have a contract in order to be able to do the deal that they need. And there's another bit of them that not just don't have the contract, but they don't know what documents they need. They don't even know how to handle or slash structure the actual deal itself. So you have the benefit of being the individual who's more educated, has access to the resources, and can guide them through the transaction. All the above, on top of having the actual contract documentation necessary. But the resource that you are is also in organizing the deals. Yeah.
So, in
Now,
other words, are we just offering our services to the title companies and stuff?
to the title companies, yes. Yes.
Okay, so why wouldn't they have somebody doing that for them?
Some of them do. Some of them do. Some of them have recently fired their TC. Some of them
Oh, okay.
have exactly right. So some of them they're expected for someone to like they're expected to the agents are expected to have their own support. Sometimes a closing attorney is working their ass off because they're acting as a closing attorney and the TC, right? Because a closing
Okay.
attorney essentially is a licensed TC. That's the real license. Like a TC is an unlicensed profession, right?
Right.
Closing attorney is a licensed professional. Just in the same way that wholesalers, investors, we're the sometimes more savvy but unlicensed professional. And you have the real estate agent. So You know, a lot of times we'll say like, why doesn't a real estate agent have a TC? Some of them do. Most of them don't. Then the next step of that is the closing attorney should most definitely have a TC, as if not in their office, personally. So
Okay.
you have a chance for two clients. Either we become the transaction coordinating company that takes on the client, Texas Title, Longhorn Title, whomever it is, or we become the client to a closing attorney directly that handles assignment contracts. Because we don't necessarily want to handle general, like it's not that we don't want to, it's that you will have way less likely chance of handling real regular transactions. And like you can because there's still lenders and all this nonsense to be involved, but you are way more likely to handle assignment contracts and have a bigger value there because you understand assignments and can handle all sides of transactions. You understand A to B, you understand B to C, you understand end buyer to title, seller to title, buyer to title. You understand all versions and all documentation, and who needs what, as well as lender, right? And you understand how to communicate with everyone, and you're organized. That will get you the sale to a closing attorney who will start to make. Here's another close. There's another like room inside of all of this. A closing attorney right now who doesn't handle assignment contracts may not handle them because they don't know how. Not because they don't like them, not because of anything other than they're messy, takes a lot of work, and they don't know how. And the first two may be the only two. They are messy and they take a lot of work, right? That doesn't mean that you can't, they aren't doing them because they don't like the money. That means that they don't want to handle the extra work behind it. So you as a TC come in and say, hey, well, wouldn't it be great if you could start to offer assignment contracts? And then without you just offering the ability to do that, I can help you and be the one to actually aid in it. I obviously you kind of need each other because they don't want to handle the assignment contracts, but would love the money, and you love the money and are able to handle the assignment contracts. um, that is a very symbiotic relationship. So you have the ability to have clients all over the place. I just want to kind of set you guys up before some of the wording and the system goes out to start to do these reach outs, because the next step is starting to cold reach out to some of these people and see what it would be like, setting up some meetings, right? People are going to ask you about some pricing. We're going to start negotiating. Some of this is going to be first time sales, right? And we'll be transparent about, hey, we don't have a title company we work with yet, but we would love for it to earn your business. And before you know it, hey, somebody's paying us $250 a transaction, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month to handle, you know, every transaction that goes through their department. And here we are. All right. That is the goal. It would be very nice if the TC department, based on how many transactions we handled, turned 5, 10, $20,000 a month because we handle this. Yeah, 50 fucking states. Excuse my French, but we got a lot of room and a lot of places to work right now. All right. And if we get really good at this, there's no reason why we can't handle regions beyond the one that we're in. I'm in Canada real estate right now. The contracts look very simple. I'm gonna be completely honest, right? So they're the cool part about the contract side of things is like water. It's necessary, no matter the state, no matter what's going on, no matter the economy. Contract and contract organization will always be necessary.
So if we're going into different states, are these contracts easily accessible?
The same way that I got to that Texas state contract, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna try this for Colorado real quick.
I think some of them, you might have to pay for some of them. I don't know.
Without even paying, statement purchasing, without even paying, you can always ask an agent for a copy of a contract.
I
You
was just gonna say, like, if we're trying to get their business, would it be wrong to ask for a contract?
Nope,
Okay.
nope. I've so often asked and said, "Hey, sorry, trying to get this. I've so often asked for a agent to give me access to a contract because I didn't have it.
Well,
And
don't they give like if you get an agent as a client, don't they give you access to their back office stuff too, to where you can just take that stuff off whatever program they're using?
usually they just give you a copy. Um, but here's I just got I in less than a minute here was able to get the Colorado state contract. And
Okay.
so what I will say is that's so funny. Sure camera. Um Search share of screen. All right, there we go. What I will say is most states it is absolutely the simplest thing to go and get access to this contract. Here's the contract to buy and sell real estate residential, and this came from dre.colorado.gov.
Okay.
All right. Sale contracts, buy and sell real estate residential. Super simple. Will it be different? Yes. But it's the same thing. It's all this
Right.
like it's all the same sections. Maybe they just have, extra numbers and extra, hey, it's Colorado, so we want to make sure you're not obstructing the view of Pikes Peak. Like those are things that will be real in some of these contracts, but most of the same sections. Same criteria. Right. Title deadline, 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 deadline. This is cool. This is just saying, hey, when's everything gonna happen? Some of this will just be inspection period dates. Some of this is just option period dates. Some of this is closing dates. That's it. All right. Um, but yes, most of these contracts you can get access to in a matter of minutes. It's nothing.
Okay.
Um, so currently, do we have any questions?
Mm, no.
Okay. So this is it, guys. So